let's have an amazing call here. I'm so excited to announce our special guest here. If you guys don't know who Al Stasek is, you guys need to know because they are absolutely crushing it. So let me just do this introduction real quick. This may take a few minutes here, but I just want to share with you guys all of his success real quick. So Al Stasek, along with his partners, Jay Kinder and Michael Reese, have built an organization over 9,000 agents in most of 50 states, Canada, India, Mexico, Portugal, and Australia. Before acquiring his real estate license in 1998, Al was a long-haul semi-truck driver. Knowing that life on the road wasn't his path or passion, he began his real estate career on a shoestring budget and a hunger for success. After being coached by Kinder and Reese, his business started doubling every year, soon became a coach as well, helping other agents and brokers grow their businesses. Al has been inducted into the RE Max Hall of Fame and is a 4-time Icon Agent winner with eXp Realty, ranking in the top 13 earners of the company. Now with over 23 years of experience in the real estate industry, he is the owner of Stasek Group of eXp Realty in Northeast Ohio and co-founder of Kinder and Reese Stasek LLC, where he teaches and coaches agents the marketing principles that have led to his success. So without further ado, my good friend, welcome to the call, Al Stasek. Al, are you there?
Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, man, there he is, guys. I love that face right there, guys. This is one of the most humble guys, one of the funniest guys I know. And we haven't really known each other for that long, just a few years since we met each other at eXp, though. But man, I just wanted to say thanks so much for your time. I love your energy. I love your passion. We were talking last night for a little bit, and man, I just love what you guys are doing, man. You and Kinder and Reese are just absolutely crushing it over there, and you guys are having a lot of fun, right? And I just want to say thanks so much for being our special guest on today's call. Ian and I, we've been doing this mastermind for about 4.5, 5 years now, and we always like to interview an amazing special guest that's crushing it at selling real estate and with agent attraction. Just like to share some nuggets and whatnot, but let's take it all the way back. Let's not a lot of people don't know who Al Stasek is. Let's take it all the way back. Whenever you were younger, your passions. What made you want to jump into real estate? I know that you said you were a semi-truck driver back in the day, but let's take it even further back. Whenever you were in grade school, and then lead up to your success right now at eXp. So tell us who Al Stasek is.
Hey Pat, thanks for that introduction, man. That was thorough. Very thorough. And Nelson, who is it? Alfonso, truckers do rock. I would agree with that.
Yes, Alfonso was a truck driver back in his day too. Yes. Especially
our Canadian truckers who are up there standing for freedom. So God bless them. So yeah, Pat, appreciate it. How did I get into real estate? Well, as you mentioned, I was a over the road truck driver for one chapter of my life. And before that, I was a college dropout. So college wasn't for me. I didn't really have the direction. I went to Cleveland State University right here in my hometown. I'm up in Cleveland, Ohio, the suburbs of Cleveland. And I really had no idea what I wanted to do. A friend of mine, kind of got me into the trucking industry. And, prior to me getting my CDL, which I can tell a funny story about that. I was loading trucks with a tow motor. So I was just working 2-3 jobs at a time, just trying to, get my bills paid and figure out what the heck I was going to do with my life when I was in my early 20s. And, I was loading trucks for about $10 an hour, and a truck. I got my CDL. I got my temporary, and getting your temps is the same as getting your temps with your car. You just take a written test. But then you have to do the driving part. And I was working for a trucking company, loading the trucks, but the guy that owned it wouldn't let me practice with the semis. All the drivers, they were, super cool. And they're like, Al, let's get out there and drive. And anyways, long story short, he wouldn't let me drive, which means I would have had to go to a driving school. But I didn't have the money to go to a driving school, nor did I have the time because I was working 3 jobs. So this guy, Tony, I'll never forget. Tony came up to me, he says, "Hey, Al, give me your temps and give me $100. I'm like, "Why, Tony?" He's like, "Don't ask questions." And about a week later, Tony came back with a stamped approval. I was a truck driver, just like that.
Wow.
So, true story. I'm not proud of it, but it's a funny one. I did whatever I had to do. So then I basically taught myself how to drive a semi truck, which is extremely dangerous. I don't recommend anybody doing it, but That's what honey badgers do. They just do it and they get it done. So I did that for a minute until the law caught up with me, and basically the guy that was giving all these out got arrested, and I had to actually go back into the real world and give up my CDL. So you asked how I got into real estate. I started working as a landscaper for a minute, and it was the moment I'll never forget was the time when I was literally picking weeds out and putting them into a bucket at the super rich person's house. He was a doctor. He was one of our customers as a landscaping company. And I looked up, I was in their front bed, and I looked up at the window, and I seen his two kids just staring at me, like picking weeds out of their front flower bed. And I was like, this is it. So that was my breaking point, where I was like, I literally went home in the truck. I didn't say a word to anybody, and I went and signed up for real estate classes. So that's how I got to be a real estate agent.
Wow.
A little bit of pain, you know?
Yeah. No, that is awesome. Okay. And so, so take us, so whenever you first got started, how did you meet, Kinder and Reese? Because I know that part of your real estate career pretty much changed your life as well.
It did. So, I was really at Remax just trying to really figure it out. And I was trying to buy everything that I possibly could to do it, from like this program to that program. I flew to Las Vegas to see Brian Buffini and how to build a team, because I really had no idea what I was doing, but I was determined I was going to figure it out. And then somehow, like magic, Jay Kinder started emailing. I got in there on their list somehow, and he started emailing me videos. And the one video that caught my attention was how to make $250,000 on a zero budget. Great headline. And so, I clicked on it. It was a for sale by owner, like just strategy. It cost me nothing to implement. I implemented it and went out and started listing more houses. I was like, dang, that works. The second one he emailed me was about an ISA. And I didn't even know what an ISA was. But again, the headline was how to set 72 listing appointments in 1 month. I'm like, all right, you got my attention. This guy, from young kid from Oklahoma, super, Southern accent. I'm like, who is this guy? And how does he know how to sell so much real estate, And
right.
So it got my attention, but everything that he was sending me, I would just do, and it was working. I went and hired my first ISA on a Craigslist ad, started going out in massive amounts of appointments. So I was just following what they were doing. And I'm like, how it works, it's called, in marketing terms, it's called moving the free line. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but in internet marketing, moving the free line means you give as much as you away for free as you possibly can.
Right.
Another word for that would be is increase the amount of value you give to your audience for free, and you build trust and you build authority by doing that. And so, and then that allows you then to sell to them. And that's just like a marketing principle, right? So if you follow like Frank Kern, if you like Google Frank Kern free line, there's probably some YouTube videos about that principle. And so they used that, and it worked really, really well. I ended up hiring them to coach me in 2010. This is right after the real estate, debacle that we all, well, I don't know if everyone on this call went through it, but I know that our friend Dave did. By the way, thank you, Dave, for that. The word that came to my mind when I heard Dave tell a story that he worked as a broker for 5 years is sacrifice. I'd like to say that, I've had somewhat of an impact, and bringing some really great people into the company, but that would have never, ever happened without people like Dave, who bet on the jockey before none of us even knew who the jockey was in Glen Sanford, and that
it was dumb luck or the grace of God.
I'm telling you right now, there's not a lot of people that I know right now that it would have, they would have bet their chips on that without knowing the company. And I'm sure at the time it wasn't even publicly traded. Am I right? So thank you. Grateful for you, Dave, and everyone, the 49 agents before you. So, yeah, that's the story. They started coaching me. I started doubling my business. Then they hired me as a coach. I left Remax and opened my own independent brokerage. And I really, at that point, that was in 2013, I pretty much thought that I had, that was it. Not it in regards to growth, but I didn't believe that I would ever merge this company into another company. I just thought that I hit the pinnacle of, all right, now I own my own company. Nobody can take that away. I'm not paying any fees to anybody. No desk fees, no franchise fees. I'm just going to grow this sucker and see how big I can take it. And
right.
I don't know if anyone on here's owned an independent brokerage. That's it's not easy, especially when, you know, you have huge competitors like Keller Williams. In my market, it's Howard Hanna, Keller Williams, Remax, and now Berkshire. And it, you know, no one likes to use the word recruiting, but it's a recruiting game. And when you have a 800-pound gorilla like Remax, it does make it a little bit easier. People just know versus my little shop. And I'm not making excuses, because there's a lot of people that, like Chuck Fazio, who grew, and Angela, who grew an 800-person brokerage, but it's hard. And that I know. And so, I was really focused on selling as many homes as I could with the fewest amount of agents. And that may sound noble, but that is not a good strategy. I can tell you right now. What you end up doing is you end up growing a few rock stars in your small little group. And I had the most number of agents I had was 12. And so I had like 3 or 4 rock stars. And what usually happens when you have a group of 12 with 3 or 4 rock stars is your biggest risk is losing your rock stars, because you're training them up. And if they're ambitious and they're entrepreneurial, they're not going to be with you forever. They're going to want to do what you're doing. And so, that's kind of what brought me down. Cliff Freeman is my sponsor. And Cliff was my first coach with Kinder Reese. Cliff worked for Mike and Jay, and he grew from my coach to my friend. And he was putting this in front of me like at least 6 or 7 times. And I was blowing my friend off. I'm like, Cliff, I have my own brokerage. Why are you even showing me this? I have no interest, and I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I finally, just to get him off my back, and I'm not making that up, that's the dead truth. I'm like, all right, if I watch this, will you then stop messaging me? And he's like, yep, tell me I'm crazy. And I watched it while I was, literally, so what happened is I lost my top agents. They, 2 of them said that, they were going to go start their own team with Keller Williams. I had just closed on our dream home. Can you give me some more, babe? Thanks. And I'm sitting there, I watched $400,000 a year in income walk out the door right over to Keller Williams. And I'm skimming my pool on a beautiful, like, end of May, beginning of June day. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to afford to make the mortgage payments on this giant home that I just closed on with the girls leaving, and I wasn't really that worried, because I didn't forget how to sell homes. I was out of the sales part of it, and I was just running the business. And that kicked me right back into sales, because I had to make payroll, and I had to, I had to make sure that we didn't go under. So as I'm doing that, I listened to the webinars that I don't know if you remember, but Brent and Gene and Rob. And I think Sheila, and there was another lady who I just met, Marguerite.
Okay, yeah, Crespilio.
Yes, and they would do webinars literally at like one live every day of the week. And so I was listening to, I think it was Marguerite's, and I'm like, what did I just hear? And it like literally clicked right away for me, because I had just lost 4 really great agents from my firm. And I'm like, I need to go listen to the replay of this. So I stopped skimming my pool. I went inside and watched the replay again. And I was like, holy moly, like this solves some problems for real estate agents. And it happened to be the same problems, that I was trying to solve with Mike and Jay. Mike and Jay had a vision of partnering with 2,000 agents around the country. And I was going to be one of them for Northeast Ohio. And we were going down that rabbit hole for about 18 months trying to figure it out. What is our national company going to look like? And I'm like, this just stopped me in my tracks. I'm like, hang on a second. Like, this solves all the problems for agents, for team leaders, for brokers. I'm like, this can't be real, is what I really said. And then my second thought was, is it in Ohio? So I went to the MLS. I did a quick search. I found David Best. David Best owned a Keller Williams, with another friend of mine who is Mike in Curvaya, but I didn't know Dave that well. But I just literally called him. Like, as soon as I watched the webinar, I called him like, Dave, did you start eXp in Ohio? And he's like, yeah, there's like 5 of us.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yes. I'm like, all right, we need to talk. So we talked a bit and then ended up meeting and got to meet Gene Frederick. He flew into Cleveland and I got to meet the legend. And
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how we got, that's the long, sorry, that was a little longer.
So I know the story about, how you took it to Kinder and, it was like he was having a birthday party for one of his kiddos. And I think you were trying to talk to him about it, whatever. And he was like pacing back and forth, whatever. So kind of share that story. How did you introduce it to Kinder and Reese?
Well, Jay was literally the last person that I wasn't pitching it to him like I thought he would join, because they were, again, NAEA Partner was the name of the program that they were trying to take nationally. And they had already taken it from Dallas to Atlanta, Georgia. And their goal was to take it national, 2,000 partners. Their goal was 2,000 partners by 2024, by the way.
Wow.
And we're at, I think just right around 10,000 right now. And so I think they beat the goal. But I really went down the rabbit hole with John Kitchens and I spent 60 days investigating the company, asking questions, setting up calls, talked to Jason Gessing. I believe Jason flew into Cleveland too. And, and then Gene really, and Gene was just a godsend for me, because without Uncle Gene, I was like a fish out of water. I was a Remax guy, so I didn't understand anything about recruiting. I didn't understand anything about, stock and how that all worked with the company and this and that. And Gene was just really, really helpful. I leaned into him a lot. So when I finally made the decision to burn the boats and say, all right, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm moving my brokerage that I just opened up 3 years ago into this. It's kind of just crazy to think about it, right? There was only 4,000 agents. The stock was at $3.40 a share or something like that. We were over the counter. We weren't even in all 50 states yet, Pat. So I was like, this is just crazy. And so the last person, before I had to make the decision to light the boats on fire, I called Jay and I'm like, look, man, you're the last, I'm about to jump off a cliff here. And I need you to just do this as a friend, because if you don't talk me out of it, I'm moving my brokerage over to eXp, which caught his attention because he's like, hang on, I thought we were partnering. Like, you were going to be our partner in Cleveland. And I'm like, man, I'd love to do that, but I think that these guys got it figured out. I think that everything that we've been trying to build, for the last 18 months, this is better, easier. And I just think that they nailed it, and just talk me out of it. Tell me why I shouldn't is really, what that was the pitch. So it really wasn't a pitch. I was just like, please talk me out of this. Cause I really, I have hundreds of signs and, all everything that you do when you build a brokerage, the sign outside and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's a big thing. Like, I don't want to make a mistake.
Sure.
So he did that as a friend. And then we got back on that call, and it was the day of Riggs. I think it was like his 4th birthday or something.
Yeah.
And Rig, Amber's running around getting ready for 50, 60 people to come over. And Jay's out in the backyard, literally pacing. And I was on the phone with him for, I think, at least 2 hours. And I'm like, man, he told me, he's like, I can't talk you out of it, because this might be the best business model I've ever seen. And so that was kind of what it was. It wasn't like, hey, man, I think you should join this. But then the conversation went to, I'm like, Jay, you've been trying to partner with 2,000 agents. This is our way that we can partner with literally tens of thousands of agents. And in the heavy lift isn't on your shoulders. And so, that kind of got his attention. And him and Mike and Woods were supposed to go do this race. And it's with Jesse Isler. He's the one that hosts it. It's somewhere up in Vermont, I think. And you basically climb a mountain. Like, I think you have to climb it, like, it's over 2 days. You have to climb it up, down, up, down. It's the equivalent of climbing Mount Everest, but it's not Mount Everest, obviously. But it's a brutal race. And this was right before 2017 eXpCon in October. It was in Fort Lauderdale, if you remember.
Yep.
And Jay backs out of the race Mike and Woods get on the plane. They're like, where you at, Jay? He's like, I'm going to this eXp con. I got to check this out. And he came down. You were there, right, Pat?
Yeah, I was there. Yep.
Yeah. And so it was kind of surreal. We all went down. I had already moved my brokerage over, but we came down with Ryan Reilly, Andrew Gadosh, Alex, and John Kitchens and Jay. And we started seeing people we knew, like people that were crushing it, that Jay had actually coached, and that we, you know, at Kinder Reese, we had coached them, and they were already over. And we're like, wow, this is incredible. And we sat down with Glenn Sanford and had lunch with him. And Glenn's like, you know, Amazon started out as just selling books. And he's like, eXp's, you know, we're starting out just selling real estate, but we ain't stopping there. And he's told us his vision, and we bought in. You know, we bet on the jockey, and Glenn is brilliant, and he's got, you know, all praise goes to Glenn with not just his original vision, but his ability, like Dave was saying, I think it was Dave, to execute on the vision and bring leaders together. And so that's the story, man.
Man, that's an amazing story right there. I love it. I love it. And so you guys are you guys just surpassed what, 10,000 agents you said in y'all's group?
Yes.
Incredible. Incredible. And, you know, and I know we've got a lot of new agents on here. We've got a lot of seasoned agents on here as well too, but, you know, kind of share with us. I like to share some nuggets about agent attraction. Then we'll kind of move over to real estate though, but share with us. I mean, how did you guys build that? I know you guys have been in real estate for quite a while. And of course you guys were coaches, and you guys were coaching some of the top agents in the country. But I mean, how does somebody get to a rev share group of that size, 10,000 plus agents? I mean, how did you guys do it? Like, what was y'all strategy? I mean, you know, whenever you guys first started out doing lunch and learns, doing webinars, what were you guys doing? Just sharing the model with as many agents as possible? How did you guys build so quick?
So we had a little bit of an advantage, to be honest. And that's because the coaching company, you know, with Mike and Jay, they, you know, you could kind of go around the country and pretty much, you know, I wouldn't say any, but most major, you know, cities, and point at a couple of the top agents, and they probably had coached with Kinder Reese at one time or another. Right. And so their strategy in coaching was to focus on, you know, the people that they can make big. Okay. So another word for saying that is an influencer, someone who, you know, is already winning, but they need to win bigger, and they need to win faster. But if with the right coaching, they can be huge. Somebody like a Jeff Cook is a real good example. You know, Jeff started coaching with him. He was doing about 40 transactions. You know, Jeff Cook has Jeff Cook Real Estate right now that does thousands of transactions. So, you know, having that ability and they, you know, of that Rolodex, if you will, we never made any cold calls. Our strategy was 100% focus on influencers. And it was the same strategy that they used when they were building their coaching company. So we really just focused on that. And the cool thing is because we were going to conferences forever, because we were always learning, we were joining masterminds forever. We had our own mastermind, the Kinder Reese mastermind. So we, you know, in having winners around you, people who are growers, people who think big about leverage, you know, that's really been our focus. But I do the same thing that they teach every day. I mean, that's my whiteboard right there, you know, and my whiteboard has a hit list on it. And it's got 2 lists, and I have the hit list, which is the long list, and I have my red zone. And my hit list has, I would say, less than maybe 10 names on it right now. And these are people that I already have relationships with that I'm just staying in touch with. It's what Rob Flick teaches in his, you know, and right next to it, you can see the week right there. I just put a check mark next to the name when I sent them a text message, and it's never. I shouldn't say never, but it's rarely ever a text message about eXp. It's a text message about an event that we have coming up. It's a text message checking in on them. Hey, you know, if I seen them on Facebook, I'll like and you know, maybe make a comment on their post, but then I send them a text message. Like, hey man, I saw you, love that post you put up on Facebook. You know, I love on them, you know, and like thoroughly, if it's about their kids, man, you know, and I just stay in relationship, and I only do it if I really care to be in relationship with them. There's no one on that board right there that I don't want to like sit down and have a beer with or whatever. I don't really drink beer, but, you know, have a glass of wine with, you know, there's no one on there. And so it's a genuine approach to it. It's easier. It's more fun. It doesn't feel like I'm selling them on anything. And then the other list is my red zone. And in my red zone, I have 2 people in the red zone right now. Both of them are team leaders. Both of them are coming over. They've verbally said they're coming over. So now I move them from the hit list to the red zone. And I just make sure that I'm inching them toward making application. And, you know, of course, after make application and they're in, then they come off the red zone. So that's just kind of how I mean, it's so Neanderthal.
No, that's great.
I don't have any like, you know, crazy soft. I mean, we do have some software that we use for sending videos and stuff like that, but really, I mean, the magic is like having it in front of you.
Yep.
In the workspace. Yeah.
Yep. I do the exact same thing. You know, I've got a big whiteboard in my office, and you know, I kind of have the same thing. You know, I have a hit list, and then then I circle them. You know, whenever they're in red, whenever they're getting ready to move over to to eXp, and so just kind of love on them, just kind of drip on them. You know, guys, this is a relationship business. You know, just like selling real estate, this is the exact same thing. Agent attraction is all about relationships. Well, that is awesome right there. And so, if you don't mind, I mean, I know this is kind of personal though, but, yes, this is being recorded, but, we all, kind of share about, what our organizations are paying us. Mine's paying me about, anywhere from, 100,000 to, my biggest rev share check is 165,000, last August. And, I've got 4,700 agents in my rev share group. And, my goal is, my next goal is, to hit $250,000 a month in passive income, and then $500,000 a month in passive income. What is something like that paying you per month? If you don't mind, just to get everybody.
No, I mean, my best check, in the last few months, and it's lower right now, was I think like 306.
Wow.
So yeah, like about 306. And that was, in the summer, when lots of real estate's being sold.
Yeah.
So, I would imagine that it's going to exceed that this summer,
Yep.
But,
yep.
Really we're looking at it from a, it's like one of those pinch me things. Because we never believed that it would be this big, this fast.
Right.
And it wasn't because we didn't believe in the model or anything. We just did not like it. It's almost surreal. And so, I remember, I'll never, ever forget this moment. And it was about 3 or 4 months after I moved the brokerage over. Gene Frederick's wife, Susan, has family in Ohio. And it's about an hour and 20 minutes from where I live. So it's not the same town. It's in Youngstown, but they come frequently to visit her family.
Yeah.
That's why it was cool that Gene came. So Gene came one day. He stayed at my house. This is my old house with my ex-wife. And we were having some wine and said, and if anybody knows Gene, that he's a bean counter. He everything that he has is in writing in pencil in a notebook. Right. And he's showing us this notebook. And this is at the time Gene was revenue share check was monthly around $92,000, I think is what he showed me. And I was like blown away.
Yep.
And he looked at me and my ex-wife and he said, Al, you do know, and this is now at the time, this was after, Jay and Mike jumped the board and was with us, right? We were a partner. Yeah. And he goes, you do know that your monthlies are going to way exceed this. And I didn't believe him really. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? No way. I can't even imagine that,
Right.
So I guess the thing behind it is that every time we set a goal, and this is with regard to agent attraction, we exceed it. And it's not because of us, it's because of the exponential growth component of what this does. I think that I have 345 agents that have joined in the last, I didn't bring in 345 agents in the last 30 days, but that's what my revenue share group is growing by right now per month.
Wow.
And so it's crazy. And that's not like, oh, by the way, I'm in a group with a few friends of yours as well. And we kind of just share stuff. And Brent Gove, he just crossed 1,000 agents every 30 days.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
1,000 agents every 30 days is joining his organization. So it's really, if there, first of all, it's not too late. Second of all, do the work and focus on influencers. You should be, if you looked at my board right now, broker, team leader, broker, team leader, She's a top agent, broker. That's my hit list. It's
Wow.
brokers and team leaders. You know, I'm focusing on influencers. I'm focusing on people that get it.
Yep.
I'm not going to try to sell anybody on the exponential growth component of this company. If you see it and you can't unsee it, that's who I want to work with. I want to talk to you.
I love it.
I love it, guys.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, you heard it right there. You know, influencers know influencers. You know, that's what Gene said as well, too, whenever I first met Gino back in the day, back in, 2015, 2016. He's like, go after influencers. Influencers know influencers, and that's how you build extremely fast. Brent Gove said the exact same thing. Go after influencers, right? And guys, I know we still have 116 agents on the call. This is powerful nuggets right here, how to grow massive rev share organization like Al has done. And, don't be scared to pick up the phone, right? A lot of agents are scared to pick up the phone and call that big agent that they know or that they've done a deal with and talk to them about eXp, right? And so guys, don't be afraid to pick up the phone. You never know. That one phone call could change your life. Just like Sheila Fejeron picked up the phone and called Brent Gove, and that changed her life completely just by that one phone call.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that you got your little dog there, man. I love it. I love seeing it.
Yeah, this is Snoop Dogg. He's all happy he got a new baby.
That's a cute dog, man. I love it.
Yeah. So Mike Reese, about what you just said, when Mike Reese kicked it into high gear, he called me one day and he said, Mike, if you ever get a chance to hang out with Mike, and I know you have, Pat, Mike's big on mental models. Like, said differently, a mental model is a it's a procedure. It's a way to think about things. It's a way to think differently and to solve problems. And when you encounter something, like our friend Tara was talking about, that was really powerful, Tara, because I'm very similar to you. It's like you're quick to light that fuse, but what I like to do is hit the pause button. That's what you did. You hit the pause button, thought about it differently. Like, that's a mental model. So Mike Reese's mental model, because Jay and I were kind of going down the path before Mike had some cleanup work to do with one of their businesses. So he couldn't come and have fun with me and Jay right away. And Mike said, once he got going and he was like, man, this is amazing. He was like, my mental model is I'm going to make a list of all the people who I'm most afraid to talk to, who I think would never join. Those are the ones I'm starting with calling. And, it's that book, Eat That Frog, and that was his mental model. And he just literally picked the phone up and he started calling to people that he thought would never join, and that, maybe that's something that you guys can use.
I love it. I love it. And if you're okay with kind of sharing, agents are asking, how would that call be? Whenever you pick up the phone and call that big influencer, what do you normally say? What's your pitch to them?
So there's a couple different approaches here, and the answer I give, unfortunately, might not be what you're looking for, but I don't call them, I don't call them about eXp. I just don't. I stay in relationship with them. Like these people in here, I'm not calling them or text them about eXp. They know, because I'm putting content out there. They know. They're watching. They know what I'm doing, and they probably know. They probably know that I would love to partner with them, and I invite them to events. Now, I would say 99% of the time, dead truth, they bring it up to me.
Yep.
And so it's so much easier. And I know that's probably not what you're looking for, but if the question, I think that the better question isn't like, what's the conversation or how does the call go? The better question for you guys, to me, would be is what questions should I be asking them? And really that's your list, your conversation piece should be, what questions should I be asking these people? And Pat, you may remember there was a training someone did about how to talk to someone who's in a higher place than you, how to talk to someone who's right at the same like business level you, and how to talk to someone who's not where you're at yet. Right. And it's 3 different conversations. But the one up here, if you're talking to someone who's clearly just done way more than what you've been able to accomplish in the real estate space, then, you obviously have to approach that from a humility standpoint and a point of praise, if you will, of really just getting humble and finding out like, man, you've really crushed it. I respect everything that you've done and are continuing to do. And then I would be very genuinely interested in them. I'd be genuinely interested in what mistakes they've made along the way. I'd be genuinely interested in what the biggest rock in their shoe is. Like, what's keeping you up at night? One of my agents, Nick, just met with a broker who I know really well. And she's been to a bunch of my events, and she went out and started this small indie brokerage, and she's grown it to 150 agents right now. She's got a really nice organization, and Nick, asked her to go to lunch to chat, not to pitch or anything, and asked her, like, what's the thing that keeps you up at night? And she said expenses. And the second thing that keeps me up at night is expenses.
Yeah.
This is someone who's spending $100,000 a month on Zillow alone. Oh. And she's got like 6 offices. So when you think about like everyone, you see an indie broker who's crushing it, right? What does that even mean, crushing it? Is it because they have 150 agents and 6 offices and you immediately think that they're doing great? Well, what if I were to tell you that not all 6 offices are making money? Right. There's probably, 2, maybe even 3 of them who are underwater on a monthly basis, and the other 3 are holding the other 3 up. That's the reality that no one sees from the outside. So, what is it when you see one of these people? It's probably going to be expenses.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's what opens people's eyes up, especially right now in February. It, typically seasonality runs high here in Cleveland, right? So I'm imagining that it does in other places, maybe not as much of a swing, but typically only about 15 or 16% of the business on an annual basis is closed in the first quarter. And then it's like 30% and then maybe 36% and 25%. Don't hold me to those numbers, but typically that's what it looks like. It's the lowest in the first quarter. Second quarter is great. Third quarter is even better. And then, fourth quarter kind of evens out. Right. So where is the pain? The pain. When I say pain, it means they're writing a big check to cover payroll in February and maybe even March because the closings just aren't there. Right. And if they don't have enough core capital put aside, or sometimes even if they do, and they just have, it's just a struggle, they're hurting. And so it's harder to talk to a broker or a team leader, in June or July or August or September when they're just absolutely swimming in money. Right. But when they're hurting, it's a little bit easier. I mean, that's what got my attention.
Right.
I lost 4 agents,
that's what they say, recruiting seasons from about October until about, February. So guys, this is still a good time to, pick up the phone and make those phone calls. Cause those agents are hurting, those team leaders are hurting, those brokers are hurting right now. So pick up the phone and make those phone calls that scare you, just like what Michael Reese says, pick up the phone and make those phone calls that scare you.
And I would just add to that. And I know I said this, but it's worth repeating. Be genuinely interested. And when I say that, is like very similar to the conversation you and I are having right now. I have, quite a bit of people that are trying to put content out on YouTube and this and that, and they do these interviews and they put them out there, and and I actually coach them now before we even go live, because you want to go deep with your questioning, meaning, not linear. A linear question pattern would be like, oh, so how many houses did you sell last year? Great. Oh, and okay, so what's the best scripts for this, this, and this? That's linear pattern questions, and it's surface level, and you're not going deep, and you're not building, affinity with that person. And so we talk about affinity, and affinity is that deep, deep connection that you have with your audience or the person that you're talking to. And the way to do that is what we call, Hoss Pratt. I don't know if anyone knows the boss Hoss. He's a great guy. I learned a lot from him, through in the early parts of my career. I met him through Mike and Jay. And he talks about going 3 deep with your questioning when you're like talking to FSBOs and expireds. And what he means by that is going deep, meaning like, don't stay surface level, go deep with your question and ask another question with that question. It shows that the person you're paying attention and that you don't have some weird agenda that you're trying to lead them to. And that's how you build trust with somebody. So I thought that, that was just worth repeating, because I see a lot of people, struggling with that, is that they have an agenda. And if they sense that you have an agenda, it's like, it's like that salesman's breath,
Right.
and it doesn't smell good.
No, I love it, man. And I just wanted to congratulate you on your success, because I know with the revenue share, you've been able to buy some fun toys. I know we talked about it. Just kind of share with the group real quick, just because I want to motivate everybody, right? Because, if it wasn't for the rev share, you probably weren't able to, buy that nice yacht and buy that nice car. So just kind of share with them, what the revenue share has been able to do for you. I
mean, yep, Alfonso, truckers do rock, brother. I agree. Thank you. I think that the biggest thing that it's been able to give me, other than the nice car and the boat, is really freedom, and that's really it's priceless. Here's what I learned. Okay, I never really wanted a big boat. I never wanted a fancy car. In fact, it was kind of a weird thing. I bought it just because a friend of mine, Ryan Stuman. If you guys don't follow Ryan Stuman,
yes,
he's a beast. You should follow him. He's one of the best. He's probably hands down the best copywriter I know. So you want to learn how to write some serious copy, follow him. He had 2 McLarens, and I'm like, why? What the hell? First of all, just to give you like full transparency, I didn't even know what a McLaren was. And this guy's driving 2 of them around Dallas, and I'm like, I called him. I'm like, Ryan, what's with the McLaren? Why do you need 2? And so, anyways, it's like one of those reticular activator goes off, and you don't see him up in Cleveland. But my kids overheard me talking to him, so they're like sending me McLarens and this and that. I'm like, I ain't buying a McLaren. So I finally broke down and was like, I'm gonna buy something I would never buy, because I wasn't into fancy stuff. When my revenue share hits 50,000, when it goes over 50,000 a month, I'm going to splurge on something, because, I can afford to do it at that point. And that, ended up not looking for it. Again, my friends were sending them to me. And then, that's kind of what happened. So don't tell your friends if that can end up good or bad. But what I'm getting at is that, it doesn't make you any happier. So don't think that, buying cool stuff. I mean, sure, it's going to make you, it's going to make life more fun. That's for sure. But it ain't going to make anybody more happier. I think that the happiness comes from freedom, and that freedom of not being strapped to like, man, I got to go out and show that house. Man, I got to go deal with that seller who doesn't appreciate me. I've been busting my ass for this person, and they don't appreciate. They treat me like a dog. Like, freedom from that's freedom. And so that's the biggest gift it's been able to give me is, when I had my brokerage and I was out of production, and I want everyone to, really imagine this and listen to this. If you're in production right now, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay. But if you're going to grow an organization, whether it be your own brokerage, with eXp or whatever it is, you only have so much time in the day. So, and so much to focus on. And if you're focusing on selling 100 homes a year, which makes you really, really good money and income, by the way, it's really hard, to grow and be there for your agents, because your agents need you. They need you for questions. They need you for growth. They need you to coach them up and help them grow their business. That's why they're with you in your organization. And so, when you step out of that production and you step into a leadership role of leading and coaching and helping other people grow, and you get put back into production. I've never been to prison, but I imagine that it's like being in prison, getting out, and then being put back in. You never want to go back in. And that's just my analogy on it. Don't take that the wrong way if you're in production, because I love selling houses. It's fun. But when you get free and you don't have to do it, you make decisions differently about what you do with your time. And so I guess I'll leave you with that.
I love it, man. That's huge. That's huge. And I got one more question here real quick. And I know we've got just a few more minutes or so till the top of the hour. Definitely respect your time. But so speaking of production, we've got a lot of new agents on here, looking to start growing their business, looking to start growing a team or whatnot. Maybe give up, 2 or 3 nuggets about, what did you do to grow? What have you learned to how to grow? How to sell more real estate? What, maybe 1 or 2, 3 nuggets, whatnot that, they could take and implement into their business.
That's an easy one, Pat. It's not the best real estate agent who's going to win. It's the best marketer, period. Okay. Everyone on this call, I'm sure, knows how to sell real estate. Everyone on this call knows how to open up a lockbox, how to negotiate a deal, write a contract, how to list a home. These aren't really hard skills to learn. Okay. You're going to be able to learn it. And if you spend 3, 4, 5, 6 real good months, you're going to be able to, you'll be able to learn how to sell real estate. The question isn't that. The question is how to turn a dollar into a customer. And if you become a student of the marketing game, and if you really study marketing and look at the best marketers out there, what they're doing, how to put a content strategy together and nail it, how to build your brand so that you're attracting and you're not chasing clients. That's the number one thing. Like my son, he's about to turn 18 in June. He's got 1 more year. He says he wants to go into real estate. Well, he's going to learn, how to sell real estate and from me or a mentor or, whatever, but I'm going to teach him marketing. I'm going to teach him how to grow his brand. I'm going to teach him how to attract business and not have to chase business. And when you master that, you're never going to have to worry about where your next deal is coming from again. And that's what keeps the majority of real estate agents up at night. Is like, man, I had 2 closings this month, but I got nothing in the books. That's not a good feeling. I've felt that.
Yep.
I felt that so many times.
Yep.
And it wasn't until I became a marketer first, real estate agent second, that, there was a nonstop flow of business. And that's when I met Mike and Jay. They're the ones that opened my eyes to, that it's not the best real estate agent, it's the best marketer that wins. So
that's huge.
That helps.
That is huge. No, that's golden nugget right there, guys. Well, we've got about 2 minutes left. Ian, do you want to ask Al any questions here real quick before we go?
Man, thanks for your time, Al. We've been all following you guys for quite some time and watching you guys win. I like to ask the big influencers this, just to send a message back down to the group, especially the new people that are joining. What do we have a hold of? What vehicle are we in right now? How big is this opportunity? And why should people or agents pay attention to this and focus on this right now?
Well, let's put it this way. I don't know who it was that held up the magazine, 500,000 agents. I 100% believe. So here's just some mindset for everybody. To answer your question directly, the opportunity over the next 5 years is bigger than it's been over the last 4 for myself. Yep. And the reason I can say that with the utmost truth is because when I joined, and obviously this is different for like Dave, 11 years ago, he was agent number 50, but look at our growth. So, I mean, when I came aboard, we were at about 4,000 agents. And over the last 4.5 years, we went from 4,000 to 75,000. We're going to go from 75,000 over the next, 4 or 5 years to, 400,000 to 500,000 agents. That's a way bigger number than what the last 4 years has been for Pat and for Dave and myself and people that have been around long enough, Ian. And so, I would say that there's a huge opportunity and it's that you kind of hit on a good question too, because what stops people? The biggest constraint that's stopping you is in your own brain. It's in our own mind. Okay. It's the story that you're telling yourself. Oh, I'm too late, or I didn't get in early enough, or else. That's just a story. And I would highly recommend that you change the story that you're telling yourself and tell yourself the true story, which is there is a big, huge opportunity. They're coming. Yep. Those people are coming, whether they're coming in you, in the organization you're going to start today or mine.
Right.
Whose is it going to be?
Yeah.
It's your decision. So, the good news is I only know so many people. We keep our circle small, right? So there's a huge ocean out there, and you have relationships. And if you don't have relationships with influencers, I would recommend joining your local board. Get around leaders, get around other brokers. Not only is it a great service to serve on the board, it can be a pain in the ass sometimes. I'm not going to lie. I did my time, and got out, but I built so many relationships, and I'm just giving you the suggestion, well, what do I do? I don't know a lot of people. Okay, well, go do some work on the board. Well, there isn't any board director spots open. Okay, join a committee. They're always looking for people to help. And I would recommend getting in there, give without any expectation of anything coming back, and it will come back.
Yep. There you go. Amen. Just like what David Harbour did. And Ian, Ian always says, hey, they're all coming. They just don't know it yet.
That's it. And that's the other belief I believe everybody's coming.
Yep. I love it, man.
If you truly believe that everyone's coming and you truly, truly believe that, then you're not going to worry about it when you get a no, because it's not really a no. It's just not right now.
There you go.
And then move on, you know?
Amen. Man, Al, I appreciate it, man. That was fire.
Appreciate you, brother.
I love it, man. This call is being recorded. We'll get it out to you so you can share it with your group as well. And thanks for all the special guests on here as well. David Harbor, Terry Trexler, Ian, this call is incredible. I love Freedom Friday. That's why I don't want to ever miss it, even if I'm traveling. And I love you, Al. I just love your enthusiasm. I love your, your energy, man. And I just love being, you guys are so much fun. You guys make it fun. And I know you guys are having a lot of fun. That's what it's all about, right? Is having fun, right? That's one of our core values is fun. And, dang, we are having a blast. I love it, man. And I just wanted to say thanks for everything that you and Kinder and Reese are doing. You guys are definitely mentors. You guys are definitely leading the way. The best is yet to come. We're going to just wait
love you, Pat.
until we hit 500,000 agents. Man.
So great meeting.
All right, guys. We'll let you guys go. Hope you guys enjoyed it. God bless. Al, love you, man. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Keep in touch. Yeah, everybody have a great weekend. Happy Friday. We'll see you guys back next week.
Freedom Friday. Let's go.
You bet. Thanks, Al.